YouTube's lawyers just stood up in court and said with a straight face, we're not social media. And whether you buy that or not, this trial could completely reshape the internet as we know it and cost tech giants billions of dollars. Because we're watching the kickoff of a massive landmark trial centered around a now 20-year-old woman identified by her initials KGM, who's accusing Meta and YouTube of building addictive platforms that hooked her at a very young age and destroyed her mental health. Now, it's also worth noting that this suit originally included Snap and TikTok as well, but they actually managed to avoid trial by reaching settlements under undisclosed terms. So now we're left with Meta and YouTube in the hot seat. Now, as far as the specifics of the lawsuit, it alleges that Meta and YouTube made calculated design choices, infinite scroll, autoplay, algorithmic recommendations, specifically to make these apps more addictive to kids and boost their own profits. And during the trial, KGM's lawyers did not pull punches, calling Meta and YouTube digital casinos intentionally designed to get children and teens addicted. Where they claim that the platforms have engineered addiction in children's brains and argued that tech executives knew the risks and said they didn't just build apps, they built traps. They didn't want users, they wanted addicts. It's a pretty damning language, but here's what makes it interesting. Lawyers for the tech companies are claiming that KGM's mental health issues were caused by her difficult family life, not social media. And they're denying that their products intentionally harm children, pointing to safeguards that they've enacted in recent years and arguing that there is no scientific evidence proving that their apps cause addiction. They're also notably leaning on federal law, claiming that it shields them from liability for content posted on their platform. But also maybe the wildest part, YouTube's lawyers are trying to distance themselves from Meta by arguing that YouTube isn't even a form of social media, where they're claiming that YouTube's actually an entertainment platform that more closely resembles Netflix and Facebook. They say that it's different because people use it for streaming helpful videos, not endless scrolling. Right? And one lawyer pushed back on claims that YouTube's algorithm drives addiction by saying it's not trying to get in your brain and rewire it, it's just asking what you like to watch. So with that, you've had many pushing back, saying that YouTube has comments, community posts, subscriptions, notifications, an algorithm that absolutely keeps you watching, and a shorts feature that literally is designed to compete with TikTok. But also a big factor here is that this isn't just a one-off lawsuit. Right? This is just the first to go out to trial out of thousands of similar lawsuits alleging that social media platforms deliberately addicted adolescents and caused personal injury or other harms. And all four tech giants, Meta, YouTube, Snap, and TikTok, they're named in various combinations across those other cases. And actually, they're all relying on a novel legal claim that these apps can be as addictive and as harmful as cigarettes. These cases are specifically drawing from the legal strategy used against big tobacco in the 1990s, where plaintiffs argued that cigarette makers knew how harmful their products were, but hid that information from the public. And that strategy there, it worked. Those cases totally upended the tobacco market. Cigarette companies reached a $206 billion master settlement and agreed to stop marketing to minors, which paved the way for strict tobacco regulations and a massive decline in smoking. And now, with KGM's suit being the first to go to trial, it's being seen as a massive test case that could determine how thousands of other similar cases play out. And so if this case swings in her favor, it could trigger a cascading effect similar to big tobacco, potentially putting tech firms on the hook for billions of dollars in damages and forcing them to completely redesign their platforms. I mean, we're talking about potentially revolutionizing or destroying, depending on your point of view, the entire industry. And all the while, there's a lot of debate happening out there about whether social media is actually as harmful as tobacco. The science is still developing and the comparisons, they're not perfect. But what's not debatable is that these platforms are designed to maximize engagement, and that engagement equals profit. But whether that crosses the line into deliberate harm, especially when it comes to children, that is exactly what this trial is trying to determine. And YouTube's claim, that it's not social media, it does feel more like a legal maneuver more than reality, where the platform's evolved way beyond just posting videos. The algorithm doesn't just ask what you like to watch. It learns your patterns. It serves you content based on what keeps you engaged the longest and uses psychological triggers to keep you coming back. But it seems like someone could easily argue that's not passive entertainment, that's active engagement optimization. But with all that, this is the Philip DeFranco Show. Yes, it's a news show, but it's also a conversation. So in addition to you leaving thoughts, comments, reactions to any of the news that stood out to you today, for this news specifically, do you think tech platforms are genuinely addictive in a way that causes harm, or is this placing too much blame on the companies for individuals and family issues? And also, do you buy YouTube's argument that it is not social media?